Spring is coming, how do you think I know? The sun is shining brighter, and so it must be so. Spring is coming, how do you think I know? The days are getting longer, and so it must be so. Spring is coming, how do you think I know? The flowers are blooming, and so it must be so. So that's a little song we used to sing in my class, and the children would name different signs of spring, and we would put it in the song and sing about it. So today I've got some spring things to share with you, and as always, I'm going to try to connect those with the standard. So one of the first things I wanted to share, and by the way, you can get copies of all of these things on my blog, Dr. Jean and Friends. .blogspot.com. And yes, I know everything looks backwards when you look at it. That's what happens when you do Facebook Live. So my webmaster has a program he can run it through, so if you watch it in a couple weeks, the words will be right. Anyway, this is similar to bingo, except I call it Springo. And I've got different items that the children might find on a spring nature walk. And when they find the objects, they can color them in. So the younger children could do this with a friend, or you could do it as a small group activity. I have another spring scavenger hunt that would work for some older children. And this one you could attach it to a clipboard and divide them up into partners. And it says, can you find a sign of spring? Can you find something older than you? And I'm going to help you with that one because I had trouble with that. It's a rock. Can you find something younger than you? Can you find something rough? So it's just got different items and descriptive words of things children could find on a nature scavenger hunt. Now, here's a craft idea that's fun to do this time of year. By the way, I forgot to tell you, happy first day of spring. You give children a sentence strip and let them draw signs of spring. And then you can even go out on the playground and let them collect small items off the ground. And you have to be very careful to remind them we never want to pull things off a tree or a bush. We just want to find things on the ground. And they can glue the little objects here to their crown, and then they have a little spring crown. And I love to make things with children that they can wear because they always get a big kick out of that. I even have a math activity you can do out on the playground, longer, shorter. So you just give each child a piece of string, and they walk around outside, and they find things that are longer and things that are shorter. Now, there's several literacy things that you can tie into spring. One of them for the younger children would be a simple acrostic where you write spring down and then they write words of things that start with each letter. Younger children could draw pictures. Older kids could write a sentence for each letter. And you can do a little feeling poem with the sense of spring. Spring looks like, spring smells like, spring sounds like, spring feels like, spring tastes like, I like spring. And they could do a different verse on each page. And then I always love webs. You know, you just put spring in there and you can web different vocabulary words. Again, for the younger children, do this as a large group activity. Older children could do it as an independent activity. Well, I've got some songs for you about birds. So here we go. Way up in the sky, the big birdies fly. Way down in the nest, the little birds rest. With a wing on the left and a wing on the right, the little birds sleep all through the night. Don't wake up the birdies. Then up comes the sun. The dew falls away. Good morning, the little birds say. And if you've ever done that with your class, they get the biggest kick out of that. I can even figure out a way to tie that into standards, the exclamation point. Don't wake up the birdies. So I've got some birdie things to share with you. One of the things is the little bird's nest that you can make out of a lunch bag. And so you just give each child a lunch bag, and they open it up, and you roll out and down and out and down. And when you get through, you have little bird's nests, okay? So you can use this as a springboard for other activities. You could tie this in with a writing activity, how to build a nest. You could look on the internet, some different types of nests that birds build. You could do a math activity where they roll Play-Doh and put eggs in the nest. They could roll one die and make that many eggs and then make different combinations with them. So there's lots of different things that you can do with this nest. Now, every nest needs a bird. So you could get some bird identification books and let the children look at the birds in the book and then try to make birds out of construction paper. But I have this little birdie I want to show you how to make. And it's made with 2 tissues. And so you give the children 1 tissue and they wad it up and they take it and they put it in the middle of the other tissue. And then you will probably have to help them do this part. You take a piece of string or yarn and tie it around that little bulb that you got in the middle. And this makes a great little bird that they can put in the bird nest. And then all it takes is like 2 little dots for the eyes and a little beak, and you have a precious little bird. And the teacher who shared this idea with me said the reason she liked to make this so much because the children would take this, and she said they'd walk home with it like it was really a little baby bird, a fragile bird. And you can tie in some vocabulary words like fragile and things like that. They could write a story about their little bird. They could name their little bird. Lots of creative things to do. Another thing good to do with this nest is to make the outline of a tree on a bulletin board, staple these. You can put some leaves and flowers on the outline of the tree, and then let children make birds and put them in the nest. And you have a 3-dimensional bulletin board that is just darling. You can also use these little nests if you do an Easter activity. All you have to do is staple a pipe cleaner, and you've got a great little nest. Instead of buying little Easter grass, give children strips of paper and let them cut. It's a good cutting activity, and then they can put the little paper and you can give them a few little eggs. And one of the best things with this little nest is it doesn't take a lot of candy to fill it up. So if you're having a family over for Easter brunch or something like that, these make nice little place cards too, placemats. A good book to tie in with nests that children can make is a flip book with eggs, and I'll show you how to do this. It's a hot dog fold, a hamburger fold, and a juice box. And then they open it up, and if you cut down those 3 creased lines, just cut to that middle crease line, and then when you fold it in half, you have a flip book. And you can use this for a lot of different things like mother animals and baby animals, or antonyms, or math numbers and different combinations that equal that number. But in the springtime, I like to turn this into an egg book. And so you have the children make 4 ovals on the front of each of the little flaps. And it would probably be good to give them a template to make their egg. And then they open each flap and they draw a little critter that they would find in an egg. And you tell them you can only draw a bird 1 time. And so it really gets them to think about some other animals that come from eggs. What's cool about this, when you fold it back down and you hold it up to the light, I don't know if you can see this or not, but you can actually hold it up to the light or look through the window at it, and you can see your little critters in the eggs. And the children just get such a kick out of making this book. And of course, I have to tell you my baby bird story. Sometimes when I do these things, I feel like I've told you these things before, but you know what? There are always new people out there, and probably 3/4 of you have never heard this story before. Again, this one's on my blog. It was springtime, and Mother Bird and Father Bird wanted to build a nest. So, what are some things you think Mother Bird and Father Bird used to build their nest? And you let the children name sticks and string and grass and leaves and all sorts of things to build the nest. And then you talk about birds are natural recyclers. They can't go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy stuff to build a nest. They find stuff and reuse it and recycle it. Now, Mother Bird sat on the nest and laid a beautiful egg. And she tucked that egg down in the nest. And when it was rain, she couldn't leave that egg. And when the wind would blow, she couldn't leave that egg. She had to sit there a long time. Now, fortunately, she made friends with some little bugs who lived in the nest. There's one little bug, and here's the other little bug. And every day, those little bugs would come talk to Mother Bird so she wouldn't be so lonely. Now, after she'd sat there a long time, she heard a little crack, and she looked down, and there was a little crack in the egg. And then she heard a great big crack, and she looked down, and there was a great big crack in the egg. And what do you think came out of that crack? Out came a little baby bird. And they will beg you to do this story over and over and over again. And you know, one of the standards children have a difficult time with is retelling a story. So as you tell it over again, stop and pause and let them fill in the missing part of the story, and you'll be strengthening that skill as well. Well, I've got a few more minutes and wanted to share some things that you can do with plastic eggs. And you know, I just thank you so much for looking at my Facebook Live, and I thank you for going to my blog and things. I was telling my husband today, this is really therapy for me. What would I do if I didn't have this to do for you? I'd probably have to take up bridge or something like that. But anyway, let me show you some things that you can do with these eggs. They're plentiful this time of year. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these. You can match upper and lowercase letters with the eggs. Just put the uppercase letter on one side and the lowercase letter on the other. And you can do it vertically or horizontally. You can also get little pictures, and you could let the children put the pictures in the appropriate egg that start with that sound, or you could let them draw things that start with that sound and put it in the egg. Another language activity that you can do with the eggs is antonyms. So you can do opposites. You could also do synonyms like kind and nice. And you can do two-letter words. Those are a lot of the trouble words are two-letter words because you cannot sound them out phonetically. So two-letter words are a good thing to do with these eggs. And then again, you can tie in a writing activity, have the children write the word after they've done it. I love to do onsets and rhymes with the egg. You write the onset on one part of the egg and the rhyme on the other, and they spin it around and they read the word. Ooh, squeaky. Somebody said if you put Vaseline on it, it wouldn't squeak. Again, have them write the words after they've done the little hands-on activity. You can do compound words with the eggs. I also mentioned synonyms. We can do math with the eggs. You could let the children match up number words and numerals, or they could match up numbers and dots, and then they could take small objects like beans and make a set with that many, or they could put the beans together in different ways to make different combinations. You can use these for operations in base 10, so they spin it around, and you could have one with one numeral on it and then the other with another numeral on it, and then they spin them around and they identify the numeral. You can use these eggs for science. You can put like objects in these and they shake them and try to match up the ones that go together. You can also do things that come from an egg, things that don't come from an egg. For math, another math activity is you can have objects and they predict which one will fit in the egg, which one won't fit in the egg. You can do musical instruments. This is a little maraca, and I taped it to the spoon, put some things in the egg, and children have a little maraca. You can also just put objects in the egg and shake them and make music. Let's see, what else have I got in here? Oh, word puzzles. So you take your sight words and cut them apart, write them and then cut them apart and make little puzzles, and then the children dump out the pieces and they put the word together, and then they could write the word. And then snacks, you know, we worry about children having too many sweet things to eat, so you could let them brainstorm all the healthy things that you could have to eat and put them in the egg. And like, I've got little Cheerios in here, and it's getting close to supper time, isn't it? So I've got a lot more ideas with eggs that you can find on my website, but I've been told not to make these longer than 15 minutes, so my time's about up. Just wanted to let you know, if you have not downloaded this, Carolyn Kozlowski and I made several packets for STEM that you can find on her Teachers Pay Teacher store. And we've got one about birds and nests. You have to buy that one. But this one's free this month. We've got 35 pages of bugs and insects, and it's got my song, head, thorax, abdomen, abdomen, head, thorax, abdomen, abdomen, and eyes and mouth and antenna too. 6 legs, and there's an insect for you. I know some of you have done that with your kids, and I think the kids like the song better than grown-ups do. But anyway, that's what it's all about. So thank you for joining me today. If you learn one new thing that you'd like to try in your class, then you get a smiley. Ching! And here's a smile. Have a good evening. See you next time. Bye now.